me go!
Pull out!
Drag her!
You must be killed!
Please, I'm innocent! Please help! Please help!
This is the heartbreaking story of a woman whose own husband wanted her dead. Before we begin, please subscribe and like to support this channel, and don't forget to tell me where you're watching from. Your support means everything. They buried her without knowing she was still breathing. The villagers stood quietly as sand covered her body. Some wiped tears, others whispered prayers. Her husband stared into the grave like a man watching his own freedom. Everyone believed Amaka was dead. She had collapsed suddenly in the kitchen that morning. Foam had formed around her mouth. Her body went cold. Her eyes did not open again. The local herbalist confirmed it. By evening, she was wrapped in white cloth and taken to the village burial ground. No hospital, no proper examination, just tradition and haste. 6 feet below the earth, inside a wooden coffin, Amaka's fingers twitched. But nobody saw. Her chest rose weakly, and then she woke. Darkness surrounded her. Thick air filled her lungs. Panic rushed through her veins as she realized she could not move freely. Her hands hit wood. Her legs met resistance. She screamed. No sound escaped. Above her, life went on. Amaka entered that marriage with hope, but she walked into rejection. From the first day she arrived in Kunnal's family house, she felt it in the way they looked at her, like someone who had come to take what did not belong to her. Her clothes were simple. Her accent revealed her village roots. Her parents had no influence, no money, no connections. To them, she was a mistake their son had made. Her mother-in-law never missed an opportunity to remind her that Kunnal could have married better. Every meal Amaka cooked was inspected. Every step she took was monitored. If visitors came, she was introduced as the girl Kunnal brought, never as a wife. Kunnal slowly changed. At first, he defended her. Later, he became silent. Eventually, he joined them. Amaka became invisible in her own home. She woke up before everyone else to sweep the compound and prepare breakfast. She sold vegetables in the market during the day and returned in the evening to cook again. Her hands were always busy, yet appreciation never came. When Kunnal lost his job, they said Amaka had brought bad luck. When his small business failed, they blamed her prayers. Even when she miscarried her first pregnancy after collapsing from exhaustion, her mother-in-law told neighbors that Amaka's womb was weak and her spirit unstable. No one asked how she felt. No one noticed how thin she became. No one cared that she cried herself to sleep most nights. Kunnal began coming home late. He stopped touching her. He stopped asking about her day. He started spending weekends away, claiming business trips that never brought money. Amaka suspected nothing. She believed patience would save her marriage. What she did not know was that while she struggled to hold the home together, Kunnal was already building a new life in the city with another woman. A woman with money, connections, and promises of comfort. To Kunnal's family, that woman represented progress. Amaka represented poverty. And in their eyes, poverty had no right to remain. The truth was already unfolding long before Amaka collapsed. Kunnal had grown distant for months. Phone calls were taken outside. Messages were deleted immediately. Money stopped coming into the house, yet he suddenly began dressing better. New shirts appeared. His shoes were polished again. He no longer complained about transport fare. Someone else was financing his new life. In the city, Kunnal had found what he believed was his escape. A wealthy woman who promised him contracts, business connections, and a comfortable future. She lived in a furnished apartment and drove a clean car. She spoke of travel and investments. She made Kunnal feel important. Then she told him she was pregnant. That news did not bring joy. It brought pressure. She made it clear that she would not share her life with another woman. If Kunnal wanted her world, Amaka had to disappear from his. Divorce would mean explanations, property sharing, community intervention, family disgrace. But death would solve everything. It would turn Kunnal into a widower instead of a betrayer. It would attract sympathy instead of questions. And most importantly, it would free him quickly. The plan formed quietly. Kunal contacted a distant relative who practiced traditional medicine. They had grown up together. Trust already existed. All he needed was someone who could declare death without hospital involvement. On the morning Amaka collapsed, Kunal was already prepared. When she fell in the kitchen, foaming at the mouth and shaking weakly, he did not rush her to a hospital. Instead, he called the herbalist. By the time neighbors gathered, the man had arrived and confirmed what Kunal wanted everyone to hear. Dead. No pulse. No breath. Just like that, Amaka was pronounced gone. Custom demanded immediate burial. Kunal did not argue. He encouraged it. Her fingernails scraped against wood until they broke. Her lips cracked. Her heartbeat slowed. Then the rain came, started softly, then grew violent. Thunder rolled across the village, and water soaked into the freshly turned earth. The soil loosened. The ground shifted. Above, villagers ran for shelter. Below, pressure eased. Part of the grave collapsed, creating a small opening near the edge of the coffin. Mud slid away. Air rushed in. Amaka inhaled deeply for the first time since she had been buried. A young boy returning from an errand noticed something strange near the burial ground. The soil had sunk inward. One corner of the coffin was exposed. He moved closer. He saw fingers. He screamed. Within minutes, elders and neighbors gathered. Fear mixed with disbelief as they forced the coffin open. What they found froze everyone in place. Amaka's eyes were half open. Her lips were dry and cracked. Her body was cold, weak, but alive. Someone shouted for a vehicle. She was rushed to the nearest city hospital, where doctors worked through the night to stabilize her. Medical tests confirmed that she had suffered a severe reaction that mimicked death, pushing her into a deep coma-like state. She had been buried alive. News traveled fast. Police arrived before morning. The herbalist could not be found. Kunal was picked up for questioning. Medical reports showed clear signs of oxygen deprivation and coffin abrasions on Amaka's fingers. The evidence spoke louder than excuses. Attempted murder, conspiracy, negligence. Everything that had been hidden beneath tradition rose to the surface. The grave had rejected death, and the truth had finally come out. Amaka woke up in a hospital bed with tubes in her arms and silence in her chest. Her body was alive, but her spirit was fractured. For days she could not speak. When she finally did, her voice came out thin and unfamiliar, like it belonged to someone else. Night after night, she jolted awake from dreams of darkness and suffocation. Any small enclosed space sent panic through her body. She could not stand closed doors. She could not sleep without light. The doctors treated her physical wounds. Counselors tried to reach her mind. But healing from betrayal takes longer than healing from oxygen loss. She had been buried by strangers, but broken by family. When she was discharged, she had nowhere to return to. The house she once called home had become a crime scene. Her name had turned into headlines. Her village felt unsafe. Everything familiar now carried the smell of soil and death. A women's support foundation stepped in. They provided temporary shelter, therapy sessions, and vocational training. For the first time in years, Amaka was surrounded by people who spoke gently and listened without judgment. Recovery was slow. Her hands shook when she tried to sew. Her legs weakened whenever she remembered the coffin. Some days she felt strong. Other days she felt empty. But she kept showing up. She learned tailoring. She started repairing old clothes donated by charities. From there, she began taking small orders. One customer became 2. 2 became 10. Within a year, she saved enough to rent a tiny shop. Within 3 years, she had apprentices. Within 5 years, she registered her brand. Pain became discipline. Trauma became focus. Survival turned into ambition. Amaka also began speaking at rural health outreaches, sharing her story with women in villages, teaching them never to accept medical declarations without hospital confirmation. She advocated for proper emergency care and legal awareness, especially for wives with no voice. She did not rise loudly. She rose steadily. The woman who once slept on cold floors now signed business contracts. The woman who was buried without consent now stood in rooms where decisions were made. They tried to erase her. Instead, they created her.